school bus strike impacting thousands of students in Clarington and Northumberland today as 120 drivers with First Student bus lines go on strike overnight. Now, First Student runs about 90 routes in Clarington and Northumberland. Talks broke down last night after 6 months of negotiations. Wages and unpaid work hours due to travel time. Those are some big issues here. First Student runs buses in parts of the following areas: Durham Public and Catholic boards, the Kawartha, Pine Ridge and Peterborough, Victoria, Northumberland and Clarington Catholic District school boards. However, keep in mind, First Student does not service all of the schools in these boards, so you'll want to go to our website for a complete list of who it is affecting. Thousands of parents and children in parts of Clarington and Northumberland waking up to hear that there will be no school bus service today as drivers with First Student transportation go on strike. Let's get live to our Tammie Southerland in Bowmanville with the very latest on this one, and we were hoping for a resolution in the early morning hours. Tammie.
Yeah, that's right, Melanie. But despite that last-minute late-night bargaining, talks broke down just before midnight between Unifor 4268 and First Student Bowmanville, and that, as a result, has left these drivers out on strike. About 120 drivers now hitting the picket lines right now, getting ready to start picketing. Important information for parents and students. These are the school boards that are partially serviced by First Student. The Durham District School Board, the Durham Catholic Board, Kawartha, Pine Ridge, as well as the Peterborough, Victoria, Northumberland and Clarington Catholic boards. Now, these are partially serviced. A full list of those schools can be found on our website, citynews.ca. The main issues for the school bus drivers, as we're told through Unifor, is wages and the fact that they say that they are not paid for the total amount of hours that they work. There are unpaid hours and they want to be paid extra for this as well. Now, coming up in about half an hour's time, we'll be speaking with someone from Unifor, a representative of the school bus drivers who are now on strike, to get more information on why they have decided to hit the picket lines. Again, a full list of the schools that are affected can be found on our website, citynews.ca. Mel, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Tammie, thank you so much for that.
School bus strike in effect for parts of Durham region and communities east of Toronto. I'm Tammie Southerland in Bowmanville, where drivers are now hitting the picket lines. We'll tell you what boards are affected coming up.
Well, thousands of parents and children in parts of Clarington and Northumberland waking up to hear there is no school bus service today as drivers with First Student transportation now are on strike. Let's get live to our Tammie Southerland in Bowmanville. I see a number of picketers behind you there.
Yeah, that's right. The picketing started just after 7 o'clock this morning. The talks broke down just before 12 o'clock, despite those last-minute bargaining efforts. So now about 120 drivers are on strike. We have the president of Unifor Local 4268 here, Debbie Montgomery, with us. Tell us, we know that wages are a main issue. Give us details on why that's an issue.
Well, it's a huge issue. This is an industry in crisis. It's been in crisis for a long time, and nobody's stepping up to meet it. The employers aren't stepping up to meet it. The consortia, the school boards in some areas, they have found money for drivers' wages. Apparently, the consortia here cannot find that, and the employer wants to carve out chunks of people's pay. We're not going to stand for it. These people are here today to send a strong message. We want paid for all our time. We want a wage that reflects the responsibilities that we have driving people's most precious children.
Right. And you talk about unpaid time.
Yep.
So tell us about that. What exactly is that?
We left the table last night because what the employer wants to do is only recognize the time that these people, our drivers, have carrying passengers. So from your first pickup to your last drop off, they used to be paid another portion. The employer wants to carve that out. That is not the time we spend at work. We're behind that wheel responsibly for many hours before and after that.
Okay, Debbie, thank you so much for joining us. And once again, the First Student Bowmanville, where these drivers are being affected. And First Student actually services partially some school boards here, including the Durham School Board, the Durham Catholic Board, Kawartha, Pine Ridge, as well as the Peterborough, Victoria, Northumberland, and Clarington Catholic Board. So keep that in mind. A full list of the schools that are affected can be found on our website, citynews.ca. Mel, I'll send it back to you.
Well, a school bus strike in parts of Clarington and Northumberland could potentially keep some students from the classroom today. Let's get live to our Tammie Southerland, who is in Bowmanville at the First Student Transportation picket lines. And we should stress, Tammie, so not all of the students in these districts are being affected, just ones with First Student.
Exactly. First Student Bowmanville, to be specific as well, Melanie. And some of those drivers, some of the 120 drivers who are now on strike are picketing in front of the Bowmanville office of First Student. This after the two sides, their bargaining broke down late last night. That's Unifor Local 4268 and First Student. They actually met late last night to, again, try for some last-minute bargaining, but those talks again broke down just before midnight. So who this affects, this is very important for parents this morning. The school boards that are partially serviced by First Student Bowmanville include the Durham District School Board, the Durham Catholic Board, the Kawartha Pine Ridge Board, as well as the Peterborough, Victoria, Northumberland, and Clarington Catholic Board. So those students there, they are partially serviced by this First Student Bowmanville, and of course will be affected by this strike. And we spoke to the president of Local 4268 earlier this morning, who says that all the bus drivers really want is to be paid for all of their time behind the wheel.
What the employer wants to do is only recognize the time that these people, our drivers, have carrying passengers. So from your first pickup to your last drop off, they used to be paid another portion. The employer wants to carve that out. That is not the time we spend at work. We're behind that wheel responsibly for many hours before and after that.
Now, we have reached out to First Student Bowmanville for reaction. We haven't received a response just yet. About 90 routes are being affected, and for a full list of the schools that are partially affected, you can head to citynews.ca. Mel, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Tammie. Let's get live to our Tammie Southerland in Bowmanville at this hour at the picket lines. Good morning, Tammie.
Good morning, Melanie. As you said, the picket lines are already up here in front of First Student Bowmanville, and that has left all these school buses, of course, in the parking lot here on scene. This is after talks broke down between First Student and Unifor Local 4268. Wages being the main issue here, and the bus drivers who we spoke with today say that all they want is to be paid for all the hours that they work.
There's a number of hours a day that we aren't getting paid for, that we're actually driving a vehicle. And some people it's longer, some people it's shorter, but we aren't getting paid for all of our time that we're here. So everybody, this round of bargaining, we were trying to have it inclusive. And what they're doing as management is trying to take even more away from us than what we already have.
I guess how many hours per week do you estimate that you're doing work but not getting paid for it?
About 12 to 14 hours.
And what are you doing during those times?
Usually cleaning, driving to and from my first and last stop.
Now, the school boards that are partially serviced by First Student include the Durham District School Board, Durham Catholic, Kawartha Pine Ridge Board, as well as the Peterborough, Victoria, Northumberland, and Clarington Catholic Boards. A full list is on our website, citynews.ca. Mel, I'll send it back to you.